Lil Nas X is a young rapper who came out as gay about a year ago or so at the height of his music career. And he recently put out a music video a couple of days ago that predictably caused a lot of controversy, especially coming from Christian and religious communities. Now, I won't play the video here, but in short, the video starts off with him in the Garden of Eden, and he gets tempted by a male figure, Satan, who he ends up kissing. And next, he finds himself on trial where he gets stoned to death, and then he rides a stripper pole down to hell where he gives the devil a lap dance before twisting the devil's neck and taking the devil's horns and putting them on his head. Yeah, it was a wild one, and one that was obviously intended to be controversial because from a marketing perspective, controversy sells. But what he claimed to be the purpose of the video seemed to have the opposite effect of what he intended. Let me explain. So let's go ahead and start with the main point that he wanted to express, and then we'll explain what he wanted to accomplish with it. So based off of a post that he made on Instagram, and according to some cliff notes from the video synopsis, the point of the video seems to be about an internal conflict that he had between embracing his sexual identity and giving into the temptation of lust for another man, and also his fears of coming out of the closet and potential judgment and punishment that he would receive afterwards. So in the video, this is represented as him being tempted by Satan, and he gives into the temptation, where next he finds himself facing judgment from various versions of himself who are yelling at him and throwing stones at him, and then he eventually gets stoned to death and is sent to hell as punishment. And after he dies, he goes down to hell where he embraces his sexuality full-fledged, and he uses it to seduce the devil, to drive away the fear of the devil and also the devil's power, apparently. And then at the end, he kills the devil and takes his horns. So the main point of the whole video was meant to encompass him overcoming the judgment and the fear of punishment that he had for embracing his true self. So if that's the main point that he was trying to get across in the video, of course, a lot of people missed it. The point that some Christians took from it was that he was essentially making a mockery of their sacred beliefs. And when it comes to the non-Christians in culture, some of them were offended at the Christians being offended because they believed that the Christians were the ones who were making a mockery out of their sacred beliefs. If that sounds confusing, just follow me here. So when Christians hear about or they see the video, they're looking at the video from the perspective of the things that are of the utmost importance in the Christian worldview. So from the Christian worldview, of course, things that are spiritual are of the utmost importance, since ultimate reality is fundamentally spiritual. So when they see a man giving the devil a lap dance, this could be interpreted as the man acknowledging the spiritual aspects of his lifestyle and knowingly choosing to openly submit to Satan. Of course, that's something that a lot of Christians are going to find offensive. And when the non-Christian culture sees this video, they're doing the same thing. They're looking at it from the things that are of the utmost importance from culture's worldview. When it comes to culture and the society that we live in today, one of the things that's considered to be of the greatest importance is self-expression. So they're viewing the video through that lens primarily. So they see the video primarily as a man's self-expression and him expressing his sexuality, which they think is something to be celebrated. See, the reason why is because today in culture, we're told that the way that you come to know yourself and the way to know your purpose in life is by looking inside. To know yourself, you're supposed to look inside to see how you feel and be true to that at all costs. People believe that if you don't look inside, you can't know your true self, and ultimately you become a slave to how people think that you should be and how they think that you should live your life. Just like Lil Nas X said, his point in making the video was to try to make people stop telling other people how to live their lives. In a post that he made for his 14-year-old self, he wrote, "You see, this is very scary for me. People will be angry. They will say I'm pushing an agenda, but the truth is I am. The agenda to make people stay the censored out of other people's lives and stop dictating who they should be." So in other words, he believes that the battle he's fighting is for people to stay out of his life as a gay man, and he refuses to be a slave to what other people think and feel about his life. But when I read what he said, I couldn't help but think about how the video seems to have the opposite effect than he's intending. Instead of the video keeping everyone out of his life as a gay man, he's actually inviting everyone into his life, and he wants for everyone to see it. And instead of the video enabling him to break free from how other people think that he should be, so that way he can be free and true to himself, by making this music video, he shows us that he's still a slave to how people think that he should be. If he wasn't a slave to what people thought, then this video wouldn't be necessary in the first place, because he intended for it to be a way to try to change people's minds into accepting his way of living. You don't become free from other people's opinions by trying to change people's opinions that you don't like. In other words, if someone is claiming to be true to themselves and how they feel, then it really doesn't matter what other people think. Now, I believe that we all need validation in some sense, despite despite what people say. Even if we're not trying to get that validation from other people, we still try to get the validation from ourselves, whether it's us trying to justify our existence through our work or our family or our love life or whatever. We all are seeking a reason for why we matter, why our life is worth living, and we all want to live for a greater calling or a greater cause than ourselves. Now, I think that at some level, all of us can relate to them, because I think deep down, all of us want to be fully loved and accepted for who we really are. But what I realize is that if you do want to live life as your most authentic and true self, I believe that the only way that you can do so is by truly understanding what the gospel has to say about you and your life. Now, I know you heard it before and you probably don't believe me. So go ahead and click on this video to see what I mean. But the next time you see a video like that and you're surprised when non-Christians act like they aren't Christians, what are you gonna say? What do you mean?